time to talk about the Spend with TMS segment, and today we'll be talking about whether or not the time is right to buy an electric vehicle. Do remember, let me give you a bit of a background. Over the weekend, the GST Council has actually cut the GST rate of EVs to 5%, and this was 12% earlier. Government has slashed GST on EV chargers as well from 18% to 5%. Clearly, we're looking at how massively the government is putting their thrust on pushing the EVs agenda, and they want more and more consumers to get an incentive as well to buy. So the GST rates have been lowered, the chargers rates have also been lowered. New rates will be effective from the 1st of August itself, and in fact, if you go back a month as well, the budget also proposed a 1.5 lakh deduction on loans taken for electric vehicles. The government has also, at the same time, a couple of days back, proposed to allow scrapping of vehicles which are more than 15 years old. This is also an attempt to sort of push the EV agenda and make the consumers get an incentive if they park their monies in buying an EV vis-a-vis an ICE, which is an internal combustion engine. But what are the key challenges? Because right now, according to a lot of people on the street, a lot of experts, India is not ready to make the switch. EV infrastructure supply is yet to take up or yet to exist. In fact, right now it's almost nil. It's yet to catch up with how how rapidly the government is talking about EVs. The infrastructure is nowhere to be seen. Charging is still a huge issue. In fact, Hormazd Sorabjee a couple of weeks back also joined us when Hyundai Kona had launched. He also said that charging is going to be a nightmare because the drivers of the car, the customers of the car will be a little bit concerned about what if they run out of battery midway, what were to happen, right? So things like that are still yet to be addressed by the government. We need a standard charging infrastructure across the country. It cannot be different in different states as well. It has to be a unanimous sort of a decision, unanimous sort of an infrastructure that needs to be pan-India, and we also need appropriate battery to function in high temperatures. Do remember, lithium-ion batteries have been facing a bit of a trouble in functioning properly, adequately and efficiently when the temperatures are very high. Given that we live in India, high temperatures is normal for us. So we need to yet have that kind of technology which can adapt very easily to temperatures as well. Hormazd Sorabjee is joining us once again to talk to us about whether or not the time is right to buy. Hormazd, hi, thank you so much for coming on board. Do you think the EVs have become attractive price-wise after the GST reduction on the vehicles as well as the chargers?
There's one thing, yes, it is a great move for reducing the GST. I have to say, I think it's fantastic. That's what really EVs need, because the cost is so high that, reducing the cost in whatever way possible is definitely going to be welcome. But, unfortunately, I don't see a sudden jump in EVs because, frankly, there are no EVs in the market yet. And I don't see, them coming in the short term at least. And even at a cost that is really comparable to the current fossil fuel powered vehicles. So for example, even the Hyundai Kona, which is really the first proper mainstream vehicle that's been launched, that again is quite expensive. So numbers are going to be very, very small. I think the lineup of EVs that we've seen, they're going to be on the expensive side. We've got Maruti looking at launching the real first mass EV, but again, a WagonR, I don't see that coming below 10 lakhs or so, because the cost of batteries is still very, very high. The lithium-ion batteries, the battery pack, that's really the stumbling point, because just the overall cost of that battery that has been coming down, but it's still pretty expensive. So,
given all these policies, Hormazd, how do you see car prices shaping up going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think overall car ownership is going to shoot through the roof, and consumers, car buyers, well, they don't know it, but they're really going to feel the pinch, after these technologies come in. Well, that's just how it is. I mean, firstly, you're going to see a lot of manufacturers moving away from diesel and offering only petrol-only vehicles. That's really going to impact running costs, because there's one thing you can't do is beat the running costs of diesel. They're very, very fuel efficient, very low on CO2, which is also one of their big advantages. but just the way the norms are, the cost of upgrading a diesel to a BS6 is hugely expensive and unviable in a lot of cases. And we're going to see a huge amount of diesel vehicles, especially from Maruti, being completely taken out of the market. Can they be replaced one to one by petrol? Absolutely not, because they just don't deliver on certain factors which are important to the consumer. So I think you're going to see, let's say, a lot of costs going up, especially the cost of the technology. BS6 is again very expensive. There are a lot of hardware changes which need to be done to the car, especially on the diesel cars. So the bigger diesels which will stay, they'll have a big jump in price. Petrol not so much, but then again, BS6 and fuel efficiency, sometimes they're contradictory. So you might see drops in performance, fuel efficiency, and it all depends how well manufacturers can tune their engines to balance all these conflicting factors. So I think in a nutshell, the new generation of cars, they're going to be more expensive, not only to buy but possibly even to run.
What about scrappage policy? How do you think that is going to change the market trend?
Well, obviously, from a consumer point of view, it's going to hurt because people tend to hang on to their cars a lot more than 10 years, and and more than that, if you have this policy, the immediate residual value of your cars go down the minute you buy it. So it does hurt a consumer's pocket for sure. But I think logically it does make sense. You want to have as clean a fleet as possible, or as clean a vehicle park as possible, purely from an emission standpoint, because really it's the older generation engines which are by far the most polluting, sometimes 10-20 times more than what we currently have. And